answer.
Back on Get Down to Business, joined by a coach and consultant who has written over 20 books, produced 3 podcasts, and written over 400 articles. Quite the overachiever. Chris Pinckley joins me on Get Down to Business. Chris, welcome to the program.
Shalom. Thank you so much for having me on your show. An absolute pleasure to be here. I was listening to some of your podcasts. You do an outstanding job, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. So your new book, State of Mind 2.0, includes 11 lessons of the most productive people on the planet. Let's start with identifying who you view as some of the productive people, and let's learn a little bit from them.
Absolutely. My pleasure. You know, what I like about this subject matter is the absolute across-the-board level of achievement. People, it doesn't matter what their profession, their chosen profession is, at the core level of DNA, these people are all exactly the same. And we're talking not just names like Larry Ellison or Elon Musk or Richard Branson or Oprah Winfrey or Bill Gates, you know, the usual suspects people think of. But we're also talking about somebody like Martha Stewart or Debbie Fields or J.K. Rowling or Stephen King or Michael Phelps. And so we're talking about people who have achieved this level of success. But as the I don't want to say the motivating factor is this level of productivity. It's this core DNA that drives these people to do things. And so another way of saying most productive people on the planet is, ironically and interestingly, it's people who make history. If that makes any sense.
Those are all inspiring names, and I agree with you completely. We don't need to point to the usual suspects to find inspirational but productive people. What do they all have in common? You mentioned this string in their DNA. What have you been able to identify? I know you've identified 11 things. Tell us, share a little bit with our listeners, and of course we'll make sure that they know how to find your book so they could learn more.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So I'll just identify a couple key factors, and one of them is one of the key elements, the lessons of the most productive people on the planet is imagination is more important than reality. And so all of these individuals have a very peculiar way of looking at the world, and it's that they've learned to begin to they treat the vision in their mind as more real than the physical reality that they're surrounded by. What it does to a person when you begin to believe the vision in your mind more than the physical reality is it makes you limitless. If you're responding to this vision, this virtual reality that you've created, then you're not confined to the physical constraints around you. And as a result, you become, in a way of saying that maybe sounds a little bit, I don't know, outrageous, you become all-powerful because you're no longer limited by physical reality. And so that's one of the key elements. Another one is, I'll just mention really quickly, is operating from stillness. All of the most productive people on the planet, all of these superachievers, no matter what it is, whether you're talking about Christian von Koenigsegg of the Koenig car or you're talking about, again, like Debbie Fields or her cookies, people operate from stillness. Their mind, the backdrop of their mind is still, and so you can overlay chaos on top of that stillness, and it becomes perfectly coherently organized. It's just very, very interesting, and they all operate with these 11 key elements, these lessons, these golden nuggets.
Well, once again, we're chatting with Chris Pinckley, the author of his new book, State of Mind 2.0, 11 Lessons of the Most Productive People on the Planet. Those were some fantastic, secrets from the book. And again, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time today, and we'll make sure that our listeners can find you online, and certainly we'll be having you back on. But Chris, I want to get to the point that I think a lot of our listeners, small business owners, entrepreneurs, are thirsty to learn. What can a business owner go out tomorrow in the workplace, and what lesson can they learn from these people that you just mentioned? How can they be more productive in their office or in their sales environment?
Well, it's interesting that you put it that way, because my perception is in order to go out into the workplace and be more productive as an entrepreneur, it all starts with you, and it all starts when you first wake up in the morning. If you want to elevate your level of productivity throughout the entire day, then you need to begin to adhere to these principles these people use. And one of them, the takeaway is create a morning routine that maybe involves visualization, some meditation, and some exercise. Very basic principles, but if you do a morning routine every morning the same way that all of the most productive people on the planet do, it's going to elevate your level of productivity and create an engine that carries you throughout the entire day and elevate your level of productivity. Your interactions are better, your sales are better, your energy is better, everything is better if you begin to integrate a morning routine the same way as all the most productive people on the planet.
Amazing. Fantastic tips, Chris Pinckley. We appreciate it. A best-selling author, Chris Pinckley, thank you so much for the tips and advice here on Get Down to Business. For now, until the next time we have you on the air, how can our listeners find the book and learn more about the many, many, many articles that you've written on the subject?
Oh, well, thank you so much for asking, Shalom. You know, if you want to get my books, just go on to Amazon.com. It's just a real easy, quick way, and type in Christopher Pinckley, the whole Pinkley, and that brings up a list of my books. And if you want to get on my email list or contact me, go to ChristopherPinkley.com, and you'll find all the relevant information there.
That's fantastic. Coming up on Get Down to Business, we're going to talk about some additional tips. Actually, statistics indicate that homeowners stay with their employers for longer than renters. We'll talk a little bit about that statistic coming up after the break. Chris Pinckley, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be right back.